two.
All right.
How's day one? Has it been good?
It's been really good.
And you typically don't come to these events, but you heard that you were going to be a part of this interview, I heard, and said, I'm in.
Yes. Well, you offered me to pay $100,000 to do this, so.
That's another rule from our stage. We never pay anyone to be here.
I
That's
am
right.
only kidding. I'm only kidding. No.
It was a bad business deal or a good business deal. We're going to find out here in just a minute, right? Awesome. Let's start right here. How did the two of you meet?
You want to start?
You go ahead.
Well, similarly to your story, we were, although both of us come from one place, so we both come from Poland, we actually met in Canada. And when we actually initially met, we didn't even like each other, so it wasn't the love from the first sight. We were in the same circle of friends, but we didn't talk to each other much.
So you were both from Poland, both currently in Canada, and you meet the first time and you weren't digging it. You two didn't even like each other?
No.
She told me that beforehand, so that wasn't a leading
Well, you know,
question.
she had curly hair, and then I was just.
And he had highlights, like,
Yeah.
yes.
Did you have frosted tips?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was 18 years old.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask how old you were. So you were 18. How old were you?
So I was 19. No, you were 19.
No,
I was 21.
19, 20.
Okay.
And the frosted tips weren't a thing? It
Just-
wasn't working?
Well, you know what? I think when I came to Canada, I found that Europe is a little bit more ahead in fashion and stuff. And in Canada, I'm thinking, why these guys still have these frosted tips? Like, that's so, like,
They still have them. So
yes.
Okay, but I gotta get into that. You think America is behind Europe?
At that time, that's how
Okay.
it felt, yes.
See, do you feel like it's shifted now? Or do you think we're still like watching Europe and trying to figure out our own fashion?
I don't know. I'm not, I don't want to pretend that I'm an expert on fashion. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good in what I do, but I'm not very good in fashion yes. So I don't even want to pretend that I know. I would have to ask somebody with a greater expertise than me on that.
All right.
So you guys are in a friend group, and you
Yes.
meet, and you're both from Canada. Or sorry, you're both from Poland. You meet in Canada, and you don't like each other.
Not particularly.
Okay.
no.
So how long did it take of like knowing each other, your friends, to start liking each other? Where did that switch?
Well, it took us, I want to say, 3 months.
Okay.
When we got married.
Yeah, well, from starting.
I heard a what? There's the live audience factor right there. We know the question.
Okay,
From meeting to 3 months to married, you just...
We just dove in.
Yes, we don't do things conventionally. So what happened, we were in the same group of friends for about 7 months. And first time when we started talking to each other, it was, I think, in bowling?
Yes,
it was bowling. And
January.
January.
It was cold.
It was very cold and it was very late and I didn't even want to go to the bowling alley, but then something just said, well, just go. And then we were with a group of friends and somehow, and I was about to come back to Poland at the time, and I said, well, you know what, I hear that in Canada, people have great dance lessons. And I was just chatting with the friends, and one of our friends says, oh, Mariola, you know what, I'm gonna teach you how to dance. And then Tom opens his mouth and says, well, like, you don't know how to dance. And then, so I asked him, I said, well, do you? And he said, well, as a matter of fact, I used to do professional ballroom dancing, so I can teach you if you want. I said, great, I'll pay you. And he says, you don't have to pay me. So I said, well, even better. And
That's not what a guy wants to hear.
Yes, and
oh,
then-
you guys are great, I'll pay you.
And then, so he started teaching me how to dance, and there was this moment where I was just, I guess, like, once you started teaching me how to dance, we started developing the relationship, and there was a moment where I felt, just in my heart, I knew, like, he's the one, and yeah.
Yeah, I gotta thank my parents for pushing me, because I did dance for about 5 years, so that was my only pickup line I needed, and I have to be grateful for the parents to pushing me at the age of, between 11 and 16 to go. Not too many guys do that. I didn't want to, but yeah, I'm glad I did, and that was my forte.
Yeah. And then I guess when while we were dancing for about like 3 months and dating for 3 months, what happened at my birthday? Well, ironically, we were at the birthday party of his ex-girlfriend, who still we maintained friendship. And because I believed, I said to him, you know what, I pray for all my ex-boyfriends, and we need to maintain great relationship. The great story is that actually we did end up like getting married like 2 weeks apart. We were at their wedding, they were at our wedding, so it's a great story. But when we were at the birthday party, and Tom, I don't know if you want to say the story, but he was, so at midnight, he says, well, now your birthday is starting at midnight because his girlfriend was born the day before and the 2 days before. And then, so we walked out, and then he says, oh, I want to give you a birthday gift. And he gives me these diamond earrings. And for me, it just felt not appropriate to accept those, because I said, listen, I'm coming back to Poland in about a month. It's not fair, right? Like, we're young. Like, when you're at this age, I'm like, don't waste these earrings on me. Just give it to your future girlfriend, right?
You offered to pay him to teach you to dance, and now you're like, don't waste these on me.
Well, because I didn't want, like, it didn't feel appropriate, and I said, you know what, like I'm coming back to Poland, and then he says, well, what if you don't? And what if, what if you don't? What if, if we have civil wedding, and
That's the first one.
that was the first proposal. And then, long story short, so we ended up having a civil wedding. So that was about like 2-3 months of dating. Well, the one beautiful thing that I really admire about this man, he's got, and I'm not just saying it because he's my husband, but he's the kindest man and soul like I've ever met. He always says, I've never seen ever him backstabbing anybody, and always has very high standards and morals. And we're both very religious. One of the things that after he proposed, and the next day I thought, well, maybe he was after a couple of drinks, but he said, no, you know what, let's go ahead with that. And one thing though, like I said to him, I said, but you know what, I don't believe in civil wedding. I don't want him to have any expectation for premarital sex. And he actually says, you know what, like that's offensive to me, and think I would expect that. So, yeah.
I think what made us grow, and it's just the thing of like doing stuff for each other. And to me, it was like, I mean, if that's how to me, that was the greatest gift a woman can give a man. Like it's because we're very religious. We even in the 3 months, like we go to church, and we have the same values and same faith, and that really helped us get through. Because mind you, like we did have fights, there was a lot of turbulence in between, and that made us grow, made us survive to this point.
Yeah. Okay, so let's fill in the details, because I've heard this story, and as I heard this story, I'm like, we want to talk about this. This is interesting. So you basically say, let's get married civilly. Both of you can stay in the U.S. You're going to be able to experience it, but almost this understanding that for you, marriage was that civil marriage didn't even mean that much to you, because the religious marriage was so important. So you got married, but in your minds, you didn't even feel that way. Is that right?
We felt as a couple, so it felt like it's dating. Like it's, the one thing that I gotta say, the focus on the developing the relationship and not having this part as the most important part at that moment, it helped us to develop spiritually. So, and as you can imagine, like being 19, 21, like of course there are temptations, but right, like your kids and there are temptations, and of course it didn't seem conventional, but for us, one of the things that it would be, like we would just kneel to the prayers, right? And the prayer helped us to really developed more the spiritual side of our relationship, and I think that helped us overcome a lot of challenges.
Did you live together?
5 years.
So you lived together for 5 years?
Until we got the second wedding, until we were ready to have the second wedding,
Wow. I love that. One of my favorite quotes is, be curious, not judgmental. We bring this up on the show all the time, right? Because you hear different dynamics or different approaches, and there's an honest curiosity of like, that's what so many people might just, throw up their hands and not listen to that. It's really interesting to hear your why. And so talk through those 5 years. You've taken kind of that initial step, but you felt like there was so much more there, and you were in that development. What did that time look like?
It was, I can just say that after the fact, after of being like, it was like, she was almost like a sister to me, right? Like it's literally, like she was a sister for the 5 years, right? Even though, you know, we really loved each other, because we didn't have that, it seemed like, and believe me, I knew that, you know, we're gonna catch up on all that stuff once we're ready, right?
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel like it when she said that. I mean, it just felt like, how can I say no to that? Like, how can I say I'm not marrying you? Like, if she, to me, it was just like, what kind of man am I going to be if I don't agree with her values and her what she wants, right? So, yeah.
And I think it's just shows the level of respect. And one of the things that happened to me when I was coming to Canada, I just before I came to Canada, I went to church, and I was praying at the time. I was dating my high school sweetheart, and I said, you know, God, just give me the best husband. I know, like, I'm gonna save myself to marriage. I believe, like, these are the very high values for me, and respect. I don't take it lightly. And for him, I could feel his respect, and because of that respect, I felt safe. And truthfully, I know it might seem weird, but if coming to Canada, I'm very close with my family, but I came by myself. Like, my parents weren't there, like my brothers weren't there. I'm very close with my family. I pretty much was alone, so he did take care of me I believe it's the most pure masculine way you can when female can feel safe. And I felt safe, and I felt loved, and I felt, of course, we felt all the romantic feelings and the temptations, but like I said, prayer helped. I believe for you probably was much more difficult than for me, but that's
He was praying a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
So, sorry, let me just get this straight. So you two got married after a few months of knowing each other,
Yeah.
and this was legally married, but you waited 5 years until you got married in the church.
Church, yeah.
And for those 5 years, you stayed celibate?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah. Yes.
What then made you go, okay, we're all in, right? Like, because obviously the phrase fully engaged. You two were fully engaged during those 5 years of you were living together, you loved each other, and that development was happening. When did the shift happen to say, let's take this to that next level?
You know what, it's interesting that you say it, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, even right now as we're preparing it, Tom said, oh, it was 5 years. I'm like, really? It didn't seem like it.
It was 5 years.
And
Lots of prayers.
lots of prayers, yes.
was a 5
I
years.
didn't seem like this, but the truth is,
He was counting the minutes.
yes, I can imagine. Well, the thing is, like, for me, I think it was, like, I knew that he's the one. And it was matter, like, I was doing my university degree, and it was kind of on I'm not even sure why it wasn't any sooner. And I don't, like, right now, I don't know, I don't think it was logistics. Right now, like, in retrospect, I'm thinking, yes, why didn't we get married? And again, of course, like, there are different resources at the time, right? So I don't know if it wasn't I don't even know what was it that why we haven't made a decision, right? Like, we kind of were on our own, and we had to take care of each other, to have each other's back, to go, like, to kind of, like, pay our ways through school, right? Like, establish career,
Yeah.
and
You were
and
partners.
yeah, and I think
More
the
like it, that's what it felt like.
that's what it felt. And I think also our focus was really on building something that we're building together. Like, mind you, like, I came to Canada, I had $100 in my pocket, right? Like, and from that, I knew I need to graduate from university. I knew there were things that I wanted to do, and it was just the focus. And even in personal development, I don't know if anybody ever heard of the principle called sex transmutation, where sex is a very powerful emotion, but many people don't realize that this is the emotion when it's combined with love, but it doesn't have to be only expressed in physical form. And a lot of performers, like, like if you talk to coaches of athletes, like, they literally will say to the boxers or to the fighters, don't have intercourse before, because this energy can be transmuted in performance. And I think, I didn't even realize, but I think somehow we were transmuting this because we really have built a beautiful lives for ourselves, and really build a lot of things because we were unconsciously maybe transmuting
At
this
the time,
energy.
we didn't
At the
know,
time,
right? At that time,
we
we had
didn't
no
know,
idea.
but I think like just like in that partnership and propelled by love and definitely faith. I would say faith in God. I think, yes, it felt like our relationship was more spiritual than physical. And although it feels unconventional for us, that's what raised our spirituality as a couple.
And even now, what we do with the groups,
Yes.
right?
Like we have this practice. So you know how oftentimes people will give you advice, don't go to bed when, like mad at each other?
Yeah.
Well, I know about you, but if I was like, sometimes you're so mad that like it's hard.
We're not sleeping.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it would be challenging if we didn't have God. So for us, like when you have a prayer before you go to bed, it's really hard to pray and then be mad at each other. So our practice, one of the practices we have, it's called marriage dialogue, where we lit the candle and pray, and then we have the conversation. So when you're inviting Holy Spirit, when you're inviting God to this conversation, it's no more that it's the two egos of the human beings kind of attack each other, but now you have this higher power that you are turning to. So it's almost like a triangle. And I remember my friend who flew to marry us, he was saying this during our marriage ceremony, during our marriage mass, and I just remembered this triangle. And I think that's what helps, because you're bringing spirit, you're bringing something that is beyond ego, beyond human self. As human selves, like it's easy to get in your own way, it's easy to be mad, but when you're bringing this faith, if you're bringing God into your relationship, it doesn't really, like, any challenges that seem humanly impossible are not humanly impossible, because with God, like, we believe anything is possible. So in those practices, I believe that's what helped us. Yeah.
I love that. And it's interesting because I asked Sean, I was like, is there anyone from your team that you'd want to have be interviewed or do this? Like, what are the awesome couples? And she didn't even hesitate. She was like, Tom and Mariola, that's one of the best marriages I've seen and have known. And I think that's interesting. And I had that backed up and endorsed by several others of the foundation you said you built on, right? And I think all good relationships, they've got to build all those different pieces, right? And do them in an intentional way. I mean, we joke about that our first week of knowing each other as friends was in the most intense spiritual week of our lives of, on an ayahuasca retreat in Colombia. Like, that stripped us down. Yeah. She saw me cry more in a week. Like, just lost 10 pounds, literally stripped down, right? And that helped us so much. I felt like we skipped all of the typical dating stuff because there was that base to build from. There was a connection there, and it sounds like you did that over time. How do you feel like that plays a role in where you are now? I mean, how many years later has it been?
Which wedding?
How long have you been together? First wedding.
2000.
Well, I'll say first wedding for you. You can probably tell me since the second wedding.
2001 was the first one, and 2006 was our...
So it's going to be almost 25 years since...
Almost 25 years from the very beginning. Yeah.
How much? Yes, absolutely. Clap for that. How much different is your relationship now? How much stronger or better or more dynamic?
I think we pray a lot more. We always, at the beginning, we prayed by ourselves. It took us a long time, but it took us a while to kind of do it together. So it was a bit of a, because to me before, the way I knew God was just me and God. Like, it was just like our relationship, right? I never really threw her into it, right? So for me to pray out loud with her together, it was a bit of a shift that we had to make, but it made the difference unbelievable. What happened after that, when she explained the triangle, where you have God number one, and then you have your two. So God is always number one, right, for us, right? And then we have our relationship, which is obviously different, but God is always number one.
And I think for me, I'm more in love with him every day. And I know when people oftentimes say, well, it's just like the time passes by, the passion disappears. For me, I genuinely can say that with each day, I'm growing more and more the love for him. And even right now, coming to the event, somebody was asking me, he's like, oh, it's your husband is here, like watching you, you're speaking. Like, he's my muse. If he's on the audience, when I do my training, my speaking engagement, like it just enhances so much more for me, the energy. And I mean, like, on all the fronts, like, you're incredible husband, incredible father, and I believe with that blessing, and the stronger our faith grows, the stronger our relationship grows, and the stronger it reminds us that we are soulmates.
Yeah. So we like to say that this is a relationship show, right? A relationship between you two, but then also your other relationships in your life. So I love how you mentioned your relationships to God individually and then together. Do you feel that your relationships to God has improved and become stronger within your relationship with each other, like growing that together, and it grows maybe in the same way?
Definitely.
I don't think we would be here together if that wasn't part of it.
Right.
Because there are hardships, right? There's like, oftentimes people say when they grow apart, they say, oh, we just grew apart. We had different values, or different career paths, or different mindsets. And I find that God somehow finds the way to bring and weave in. It's almost like superpowers. It infuses superpowers. It blesses you with superpowers in your relationship, and it helps you to get out of your own way in order to serve Him and serve each other.
Right. It gives you both a grounding, a stability to both lean on.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. Let's do this. We have a very engaged group, and engaged. I didn't mean to use that word. Excited group, and you know them. Does anyone have a question for these two? Before we wrap this up, I'm curious about their relationship specifically, of what you've seen. All right. Let me ask, how many of you feel like you just learned something about her that you wouldn't typically learn at a conference? You feel like there's more of a connection there, right? I think we're so quick to get into conversations that are just the typical talking points that we do over and over, right? And as we were talking today and hearing that, my respect for both of you as a couple, I think, goes through the roof of, hey, at the end of the day, it's intentional, right? And I think whatever you do in your life is it's intentional both with yourself and as a team. That's what all of a sudden allows you to grow, and to hear you say, without a doubt, like the two of you have helped each other become better people. That's what I love. Let's just ask this in closing. We would love to hear from both of you. What's your favorite thing about the other person? What do they do for you? Like, how do they help you fill you up?
Do you have the whole evening?
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know, it's hard to pick one
It's
thing
hard to
for
pick
me,
one.
because, I mean, like, every day I'm learning something new about him, and even though it is so many years, like every day, like, you will surprise me with something, and it just blows my mind, and it's hard to pick one, because I'm gonna give one answer, and then as soon as we get off the stage, you're gonna say or do something that I'm like, oh, I think this is favorite, and this is favorite. So it's really hard to say, because just every day I'm discovering new things about Tom.
I just think like the thinking of, like, I always think about the other person. That's what I see a lot. We do a lot more in this relationship. Like, we will think about the other person first before you think about yourself. If you're doing something right. So I think that's the thing that stands out for me the most. But again, there's just I never actually thought about that too much, because
It just flows.
it just flows, right?
I love that. We got some good notes from these two.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate that.
pleasure.
It's so fun. Give them a huge round of applause. Thank you.